Have you ever wondered why your 2,000 square foot home still has that musty smell no matter how many expensive air purifiers you buy? While a tiny Tokyo apartment half that size always smells naturally fresh without a single drop of artificial air freshener. A groundbreaking 2024 Harvard University study just revealed an astonishing truth. 68% of Americans over 55 are dissatisfied with the air quality in their homes, while only 12% of Japanese people the same age feel the same way. This isn't about luck. This isn't about expensive technology. This is about secrets passed down from generation to generation over hundreds of years. Simple daily habits that anyone can adopt, including you. Take Martha, a 72-year-old grandmother living in Chicago. For years, she simply accepted that her spacious home would always carry that persistent damp smell until her son returned from living in Japan and gently asked her, "Mom, why does our house always smell a little musty?" After just 3 weeks of applying the principles I'm about to share with you, Martha's home completely transformed. No expensive machines, no artificial fragrances. Today, I'll guide you through 5 simple daily habits the Japanese use to keep their homes naturally fresh. Secrets that don't just clean the air, but bring peace to your soul. And the best part? You can start with just 5 minutes a day. So, let's open the door together and step into a world of purity and harmony. Core philosophy, the connection between living space and soul. Have you ever noticed that when your mind is troubled, your room seems to become more chaotic too? And conversely, when you step into a clean, organized room, your soul seems to be washed clean as well? For the Japanese, this is not just a coincidence. This is a philosophy of life that has permeated their culture for thousands of years. From the time they are toddlers, Japanese children are taught that a clean home reflects a pure heart. This isn't just an empty saying. It's a teaching from Shinto, Japan's indigenous religion, where purity is considered sacred. Imagine visiting a Shinto shrine on a spring morning. Before entering the sacred area, you'll see a water basin placed at the entrance. That's where worshippers rinse their hands and mouths, not just to cleanse their bodies, but to purify their souls before prayer. The Japanese have brought this ritual into their very homes. Every time they remove their shoes at the entrance, every time they clean their house, every time they open windows to welcome the morning light. These are all spiritual acts, ways to connect the outside world with their inner world. I'll never forget the story of Susan from Lancaster, Pennsylvania. She's of German-American descent, part of the Amish community famous for their simple lifestyle. When I asked why she always spends hours each week cleaning her small wooden house, she smiled and replied, "Child, my grandmother taught me, a clean home is where God resides, and a pure heart is where happiness grows." It's fascinating to see the parallels between Japanese philosophy and that of German Americans in Pennsylvania. For both cultures, cleanliness isn't just about hygiene. It's an expression of morality, discipline, and respect for living space. But we, modern people, often make a serious mistake. We separate cleanliness from spirit. We see house cleaning as a burdensome duty, a time-consuming task we want to finish as quickly as possible. Meanwhile, the Japanese see them as one unified whole. For them, each time they mop the floor isn't just about removing dust. It's how they erase negative thoughts, the accumulated stresses of the day. Each time they open a window isn't just about bringing in fresh air. It's how they open their hearts to new opportunities, to life's beautiful moments. This philosophy isn't foreign to American culture. In the 19th century, the great philosopher Ralph Waldo Emerson wrote, "A man's real home is not in the walls of brick and mortar. A man's real home is the extension of his soul." Emerson understood that living space and the human soul always travel together. when he built his house in Concord, Massachusetts. Every door, every window was designed to connect people with nature and with themselves. So how can we apply this philosophy to our busy modern lives? I've learned a small ritual from my Japanese friends. Every morning when you wake up, before having coffee or checking your phone, take 5 minutes to stand by the window, take 3 deep breaths, look around your living room, and ask yourself a simple question: what kind of energy do I want in my home today? Gently wipe the table surface with a warm cloth, not because it's dirty, but as a gesture of respect for your living space. When you do this consistently every day, you'll discover something magical. Your home won't just be cleaner. Your soul will also become more peaceful. Because when you learn to respect your living space, you also learn to respect yourself. And this is a foundation for all the secrets I'll share with you next. Because a clean home doesn't start with how you mop floors or open windows. It starts with how you think about your home. With seeing your home not just as shelter from rain and sun, but as the sanctuary of your soul. When you understand this, you'll be ready to explore practical solutions to transform your living space into a place that truly nourishes your soul. And in the next section, we'll dive deep into one of the biggest challenges for retired Americans: how to transform a large living room into a natural air purification space. Solution for American homes: transforming the living room into a natural air purification space. Have you ever wondered why your spacious 25 square meter living room still feels stuffy? While a Japanese living room half that size always brims with fresh, clean air, the secret isn't in the size. It's in how we design and use our space. Let's take a look at traditional American home architecture. We pride ourselves on spacious homes with high ceilings, large windows, and expansive open-concept living rooms. But these very designs create our biggest challenge for natural ventilation. While the Japanese design homes with windows opposite each other to create a straight airflow path, many American homes have single windows in each room, or windows placed without any specific directional consideration.
The back window
the
is
result
finally
is stagnant
open.
air,
Light flooding
especially
onto
in
the
those hidden
floor where
corners
the
of
shelf used to
spacious
be.
living rooms. I'll never forget my first visit to Mr. Robert's home in Boston. At 68 years old, he lives alone in his 2,000 square foot house after his children have grown up and moved out. You know, he shared while turning on his expensive air purifier. I used to spend $300 a month on electricity and replacement filters. But the living room still always had that musty smell whenever it rained. Until one day, his daughter, who had been living in Japan, came to visit and asked a simple question: "Dad, why don't you open the back window when you open the front one?" That seemingly naive question completely transformed Mr. Robert's home with just one simple change: rearranging furniture and changing how he uses windows. He created a straight airflow path in his living room. His old armchair was moved 1 meter to the right. The sofa set was rearranged parallel to the wind direction. And most importantly, the back window, which had been blocked by potted plants, was completely unobstructed. The result? Within just 2 weeks, Mr. Robert reduces air purifier costs by 80%. The air in the living room became so fresh that even his elderly cat preferred to nap by the window. But this isn't just a story about rearranging furniture. This is a story about how we use our living spaces. While the Japanese have a genkan, a sacred entryway space where they transition their mindset from the outside world to their private sanctuary, Americans have a mudroom, a room for shoes, coats, and outdoor gear. But the biggest difference is how we use these spaces. The Japanese see the genkan as a spiritual boundary. Americans often see the mudroom as a cluttered storage area. What lesson can we learn from this? It's not about completely changing American architecture. It's about learning to respect the airflow in your home. Try this today. stand in the middle of your living room on a breezy day. Close your eyes and feel the direction of the wind. When you open two opposite windows, you'll sense where air flows well and where it's blocked by furniture. Then move the items that are obstructing this airflow. It might be a large bookshelf, a big potted plant, or even a sofa placed in the wrong position. When you create natural airflow in your living room, you're not just cleaning the air, you're creating a new energy flow for your entire home. And this is especially important for us, those who have retired or are preparing to retire, because the living room isn't just where we receive guests. It's the heart of the home, where we spend most of our time doing the things we love, where we read books in the afternoon, watch the news with our spouses, and gather with family on holidays. When the air in the living room is fresh, our mood and health also improve. Mr. Robert shared with me, since having fresh air, I sleep better, no longer wake up with a stuffy nose in the morning, and most importantly, I feel energized and enjoy my golden years. But natural ventilation is only part of the story. The next big challenge many Americans face, especially in humid regions like Florida or Louisiana, is how to control moisture without bulky, expensive dehumidifiers. And this is where we need to learn from the Japanese's smart solutions. Solutions that are not only effective, but also harmonize with our living spaces. Humidity control strategies. Solutions for each American climate region. Have you ever wondered why the same humidity control method can be wildly successful in Seattle but fail miserably in Miami? The secret lies in understanding your local climate. Let's look at the map of America. We don't just have one nation. We have four completely different climate worlds. And each world requires its own unique humidity control strategy. In the Northeast, where winter snowstorms moisten everything, the biggest problem isn't humidity in the air. It's moisture from melting snow seeping into walls and floors. I witnessed this when visiting Mr. Thomas in Boston. At 73 years
Life
old,
has a way of
he has
working
lived in his
itself out,
wooden
child.
house for over
The bamboo
50 years.
bends in the wind,
He shared
but
with
it
me.
does not break.
Every spring,
Life has
my
a way
walls
of
seem to
working
cry
itself
water.
out, child.
That musty smell
bamboo
rising from
bends
the
in
wooden
the wind,
floors makes
but it
my
does
wife
not break.
avoid the living room. Meanwhile, in Florida, where Mrs. Eleanor, 76, lives alone in her small coastal home, humidity doesn't just come from rain. It comes from the ocean, from salty sea breezes blowing through
Why are
every
you bringing
crack
that
and
up
crevice.
now? We discussed this.
She told
Well,
me.
I've changed my mind.
Even with daily
I won't
cleaning,
let
my
you throw it
bathroom
away.
always had that white mold film on the tiles. I tried every strong cleaner, but within days it would appear again. And in Arizona, where the dry desert stretches endlessly, people face the opposite problem. When the rainy season suddenly arrives after months of drought, humidity spikes so rapidly that mold grows faster than you can clean it. This is why the one-size-fits-all approach completely fails. The Japanese understand this very well. They've developed different humidity control strategies for each climate region of Japan. And their greatest secret doesn't lie in expensive dehumidifiers. It lies in small pieces of bamboo charcoal. I know what you're thinking. Bamboo charcoal? Will it really work in my
ありがと
spacious
うござい
home?
ます。
ありがとうござい
Let
ま
me
す。
tell you about Mrs. Eleanor in Florida. Instead of buying a $300 dehumidifier, as her son suggested, she tried the Japanese method by placing bamboo charcoal pieces in decorative ceramic bowls. She bought bamboo charcoal at her local store for just $15 for a large bag. Then, she placed small charcoal pieces in beautiful ceramic bowls. One in the bathroom, one in the closet, and a small one in the bedroom. The results weren't immediate, but after 3 weeks, the white mold film on her bathroom tiles disappeared. And something even more miraculous, the clothes in her closet no longer had that musty smell when she wore them. Mrs. Eleanor shared with me, I've lived in Florida for 40 years and gone through dozens of dehumidifiers. But these little charcoal pieces are more effective than all of them. And this is our biggest mistake. We think musty smells are a cleaning problem. We scrub with strong chemicals, spray air fresheners. But forget the root cause, uncontrolled humidity. The Japanese understand that. Control humidity and you control the air. But this isn't a new invention. Look at the ancient Navajo people. They've lived in the harsh desert for thousands of years. Thanks to smart home architecture, combined with natural materials,
Here we
they
see
use
the
special
classic
clay
kitchen work
that
triangle.
absorbs moisture
The stove,
during the day
the
and
sink,
releases it at night when the air is cooler. Their lesson is simple yet profound. Don't fight against nature. Learn to work with it. Applied to modern life, you can, in the Northeast, place bamboo charcoal near entryways and under rugs to absorb moisture from melting snow. In the Southeast, use a combination of bamboo charcoal and small ventilation fans in bathrooms. In the Southwest, take advantage of daytime dryness by opening windows wide and use bamboo charcoal during rainy seasons. On the West Coast, harness morning fog by opening windows to welcome it. Then use bamboo charcoal to control excess moisture. And don't worry about finding bamboo charcoal. You can start with regular activated charcoal from your local pharmacy. Just place it in small, beautiful bowls and replace it every 2 to 3 months by sun drying it. When you understand your climate and work with it, you'll find your home not only dry and airy, but also saving you hundreds of dollars each year on electricity and equipment. But humidity control is only part of the story. The next big challenge many retired Americans face is how to deal with a lifetime's accumulation of possessions without feeling like they're abandoning precious memories. And this is where we need to learn from the profound minimalist philosophy of Japan, a philosophy that not only makes homes more spacious, but also makes souls more peaceful. Simplifying living spaces, solutions for retirees. Have you ever walked into a room filled with clutter and felt like your mind was just as messy? Conversely, when you step into a spacious, open room, don't you feel your soul becoming lighter and more peaceful? For those of us in our golden years, people who have spent over half a century building families and careers, simplifying our living spaces isn't just an aesthetic choice. It's an essential need for both physical and mental health. Let's face reality. When our children have grown up and flown the nest, we often keep their small beds, toys, old textbooks, as if one day they'll return and everything will remain exactly as it was. I understand this feeling. Last year, when my daughter moved to California to live with her husband, I kept her room exactly the same for an entire year. Every time I entered that room, I remembered those sleepless nights when she was little, those rushed mornings preparing breakfast before school, and I simply couldn't bring myself to clean out that room. Until one day, my neighbor Sarah, who is 82 years old, visited and said something that woke me up. My dear, we keep these material things not because our children need them, but because we're afraid of forgetting the memories. Sarah is of German-American descent and belongs to the generation that lived through the Great Depression of the 1930s. She shared with me a philosophy she learned from her grandfather. A home isn't a museum to display the past. It's a temple to nurture the present. This philosophy is remarkably similar to the Japanese concept of wabi-sabi, the art of finding beauty in imperfection and the temporary nature of all things. And it also reflects the less is more philosophy of German-American architect Ludwig Mies van der Rohe, who revolutionized modern architecture with minimalist yet meaningful lines. Let me tell you the story of Mr. and Mrs. Thomas from Denver. At 70 years old, after all 3 of their children had started their own families, They lived in a large house with many empty rooms filled with old belongings. Mrs. Mary Thomas often felt stressed and exhausted after cleaning. Mr. Thomas shared with me. We spent every Sunday just cleaning rooms that no one was using. I started asking myself, are we living for the house, or is the house living for us? Then one day, during a trip to Japan, they witnessed how a Japanese family lived happily in an apartment half the size of their home. When they returned to America, they decided to try the 15 minutes a day method. Every morning, before having coffee, they spent 15 minutes to select one small area in the house. Ask 3 questions for each item. Have I used this in the past year? Does it bring me joy? Does it serve an essential purpose? If the answer was no to all 3 questions, they would gift it to someone else or donate to charity. After just 3 months of this method, their living space transformed completely. But what was even more surprising was a change in their mood. Mrs. Mary shared, I realized I wasn't just cleaning the house. I was cleaning the burdens in my soul. Each item I gave away was a memory I had cherished enough. And now it was time for it to continue its own journey.
This charcoal is very good.
And this is the biggest
It really
mistake
is.
we make
I'll take this
when
one.
thinking about minimalism. We think simplicity means emptiness, boredom, or deprivation. But the truth is, minimalism isn't about creating emptiness. Minimalism is about creating space for what truly matters. Look at how the Amish people in Pennsylvania maintain their living spaces. Their simple wooden homes have no TV, no internet, no modern gadgets.
We have so
Yet
many
they're
wonderful
always
memories.
filled with laughter,
Yes,
love,
and many
and
more to
meaningful
come.
connections.
Come by.
They understand that a home isn't a place to store things. It's a place to house relationships, experiences, and meaningful conversations. Their lesson is simple. Every item in your home should serve a purpose or bring you joy. If not, it's just a burden. Applied to modern life, you can start with a small area, a kitchen drawer, a closet, or a corner of the living room. Dedicate 15 minutes each day to organizing one small area. Take before and after photos to see the positive changes. Gift unneeded items to relatives or donate to charity. When you do this, you'll discover something magical. Your living space won't just be more organized. Your soul will also become more peaceful. Because every time you create space in your home, you also create space for new things, new opportunities, and new joys in life.
Turn the latch
And
like
this
this.
is especially important
Good.
as
Now
we
push.
enter this new phase of life. A phase where we deserve to fully enjoy our remaining years.
It is so good
But
to
simplifying
see you.
living
Are you
spaces
eating
is
properly?
only
I
part
am,
of the
don't
story.
worry.
The next
You look
challenge many of us
great.
face is how to keep our kitchens, the heart of the home, fresh and odor-free, especially when we frequently cook the beloved dishes our children and grandchildren have known since childhood. And this is where we need to learn from the smart secrets of the Japanese. Secrets that not only keep kitchens clean, but also strengthen the family values we've built over the years. Smelly kitchens, the story of American kitchens, and Japanese solutions. Have you ever wondered why your spacious kitchen always has those stubborn, unpleasant odors that just won't go away completely? Even after using every air freshener spray, buying air purifiers, or even opening all the windows, the smell of cooking oil, leftover food, and dampness still lingers like a ghost that refuses to leave. The problem isn't that you're not cleaning enough. The problem lies in the fundamental design of modern American kitchens. Let's look at the traditional American kitchen. We pride ourselves on open spaces, where the kitchen, dining room, and living room flow together as one. But this very design creates our biggest challenge: smells spreading throughout the house. Meanwhile, a Japanese kitchen, though small, is designed like a sealed box that effectively controls odors. I'll never forget my first visit to Mrs. Jennifer in Texas. At 62 years old, she lives in a large house with an open kitchen that flows directly into the living room. She complained, "Every time I cook ribs for my grandchildren, the whole house is filled with that wonderful aroma. But the next day, after the kids have gone home, that greasy smell still lingers on the sofa and curtains." My husband calls our house the restaurant hotel. Mrs. Jennifer had tried everything, buying powerful range hoods, expensive scented candles, even hiring professional cleaning services. But the problem remained unsolved until her daughter returned from Japan and suggested something simple. "Mom, why don't you try changing the position of your trash can and how you store leftovers?" That seemingly naive question opened a door for Mrs. Jennifer with just 3 small changes. First, she moved the trash can from under the sink to a hidden corner, away from the cooking area, and added a tight-sealing lid along with Ziploc bags. Second, she started using the Japanese work triangle principle, arranging the refrigerator, sink, and stove in an equilateral triangle to reduce movement time and increase food handling efficiency. Third, and most importantly, she changed her habits. Immediately after eating, she washed dishes right away and wiped all surfaces clean. The result? Within just 1 week, her husband remarked, "I no longer smell cooking oil every morning when I sit down for coffee." But this isn't an isolated story. Millions of American families face the same problem. The Japanese understand that each kitchen odor needs its own solution. Trash smells. They use tightly sealed trash cans placed in separate areas, combined with activated charcoal at the bottom. Cooking odors. They always open windows or ventilation when cooking, and use range hoods from the beginning of the cooking process. Refrigerator smells. They place small pieces of activated charcoal in pretty little boxes, instead of using baking soda like Americans do. And the most important secret, something many of us Americans often overlook, is their cooking philosophy. The Japanese see cooking as a sacred ritual. Every movement has purpose. Every ingredient is respected, while Americans often cook as a task to be completed quickly. I remember the words of Julia Child, the woman who brought French cuisine to America, who once said, "A clean kitchen is the foundation of good cooking." When you respect your cooking space, you're also respecting the people who enjoy your food. What's the lesson from Julia Child and Japanese philosophy? It's not about how many modern appliances you have. It's about how much you respect your cooking space. Today, try this. After dinner, spend 5 minutes to
I think I
wash
found some more
dishes
dust over
immediately,
here.
wipe dry the sink and all
You
surfaces,
are terrible.
seal
We're
the
almost
trash can
finished.
tightly and take it outside if possible. Open windows to allow air circulation. When you make this a daily habit, you'll witness something magical. Not only will your kitchen be cleaner, but your mood will also become lighter. Because a clean kitchen isn't just where good food is cooked. It's the heart of the home, where family stories are told, where memories are created. And when that heart is pure, everything around it becomes brighter too. But keeping a home fresh isn't just about daily habits. It also depends on how we adapt to America's 4 changing seasons. How we find solutions appropriate for each time of year. And this is where we need to learn from Japanese seasonal rituals. Rituals that not only keep homes clean, but also connect us to the natural rhythm of life. Seasonal solutions, adapting to America's 4 seasons. Have you ever noticed that your home is like a living body, breathing to the rhythm of the 4 changing seasons? Spring brings freshness, but also pollen dust. Summer overflows with energy, but also brings uncomfortable humidity. Autumn is gentle, but leaves fallen leaves everywhere. And winter's cold keeps us sealed indoors. The Japanese understand this well. They don't fight against the seasons. They learn to live in harmony with them.
これは暖
Let's
か
start
いだ
with
ろう。
winter,
え
the most
いい
challenging
季節ですね。
season for those living in America's Northeast. When snow falls heavily and temperatures drop below freezing, we often seal all windows, turn on heating systems, and pray for winter to pass quickly. But this very action creates stagnant, dry air filled with bacteria. I learned a wonderful secret from Mr. James, 71, who lives in Minnesota. Instead of keeping windows closed all winter, he applies the Swedish 90-second ventilation method called for Luftsliv. Every morning, no matter how cold it is, he opens a living room window for exactly 90 seconds. And something magical happens. The old air is completely replaced by fresh, clean air, while the indoor temperature only drops about 1 to 2 degrees, enough for the heating system to compensate immediately. Mr. James shared, "At first, my wife thought I was crazy, but after applying this method, both of us caught fewer colds, slept better, and felt more alert every morning." And this is the perfect winter solution. Spend 90 seconds each morning opening windows to welcome fresh air. Use natural humidifiers like water basins placed near heaters. Grow indoor plants like aloe vera and spider plants to filter air. Mop floors with diluted vinegar once a week to kill hidden bacteria. When spring arrives with blooming flowers, our biggest problem is no longer humidity, but pollen. Mrs. Martha from Illinois shared her story. "Every spring, I would sneeze continuously and my eyes would turn red and swollen. I thought I was permanently allergic to spring, until she learned the Japanese way, opening windows in the evening instead of during the day, because pollen flies most during daytime when there's wind and sunlight, while at night the air is cleaner and has less pollen." Mrs. Martha also placed damp cloths on windowsills to catch pollen before they enter the house. With just these two small changes, her allergy symptoms decreased by 80%. Summer, especially in southern states, brings a completely different challenge. High humidity makes everything in the house feel like it's covered with a sticky film. I'll never forget the story of Mrs. Elizabeth in Florida. She lives in a wooden house by the sea, where humidity can reach 90% in summer. Instead of buying expensive dehumidifiers, she learned to combine Japanese methods with local knowledge, using bamboo charcoal placed in decorative ceramic bowls, hanging large cotton towels at doorways to absorb moisture, opening windows at night when sea breezes blow in and closing them during the day, sun-drying all bedding weekly under direct sunlight. Mrs. Elizabeth shared, "The Japanese taught me to work with nature, not against it, and Floridians taught me to respect the power of the ocean. When autumn arrives, bringing golden leaves and cool air, this is the perfect time to prepare your home for winter." The Japanese have a ritual called osoji, year-end cleaning in December, while Americans have the spring cleaning tradition. But why not combine both? Let's learn from those who lived through the Great Depression of the 1930s. They didn't have modern machines or expensive chemicals, but they had intelligence and respect for every penny. They used vinegar and baking soda as multi-purpose cleaners. They sun-dried all bedding under autumn sun to naturally kill bacteria. They cleaned every small corner of the house before winter arrived. Mrs. Ruth, 89, who lived through the Great Depression, shared with me, "We didn't clean to show off. We cleaned to respect the home that sheltered us through difficult days. Every time I wiped the window pane, I thanked it for protecting my family from the cold wind." The deepest lesson I learned from the seasons is nature always has its way. We can't always control the weather, but we can always control how we adapt to it. And when we learn to work with nature instead of against it, we don't just get cleaner homes. We also get more peaceful souls. But this can't happen with just seasonal solutions. It needs a stronger foundation, a daily rhythm repeated as steadily as ocean waves. And this is where we need to explore the daily habits of the Japanese. Simple but powerful habits that can completely change how we experience our homes every single day. Daily habits. Building a balanced life rhythm. Have you ever wondered why the Japanese, despite living in small apartments, always have fresh homes and peaceful souls? The secret isn't in expensive technology. The secret lies in small daily habits repeated like the rhythm of a heartbeat. Every morning upon waking, before having coffee or checking phones, the Japanese spend 5 minutes opening all the windows in their homes. This simple action doesn't just welcome fresh air. It's a ritual marking the beginning of a new day, clean both in space and soul. A 2024 Mayo Clinic study confirmed this. They tracked the mental health of 2,000 Americans over 60 for 6 months. The results were astonishing. Those who spent 5 minutes each morning opening windows and breathing fresh air reduced symptoms of depression and anxiety by 27% compared to the other group. And even more fascinating, this benefit doesn't depend on where you live. Whether you're in New York, Arizona, or Florida, just opening windows to welcome fresh air each morning noticeably changes your mood. I witnessed this at the Sunrise Valley Retirement Community in Arizona. They have a group called the Morning Ritual Club. Every day at 7 a.m., about 20 seniors gather in the common area. They don't exercise. They don't drink tea. They simply stand quietly, open windows, and breathe deeply in silence. Mrs. Patricia, 78, the group's founder, shared with me. We spent our lives chasing time. Now in retirement, we're learning to live with time. 5 minutes of silence each morning doesn't just renew the air, it renews our souls. And this is the biggest mistake we often make. We spend 30 minutes each morning exercising, caring for our bodies, but forget 5 minutes to care for our living spaces. We invest thousands of dollars in air purifiers, room fragrances, but won't invest 5 minutes a day to open windows. The Japanese understand that living space and human soul are one unified entity. When the home is renewed daily, the soul is also regenerated. This philosophy isn't foreign to American culture. Benjamin Franklin, one of America's founding fathers, once wrote in his journal, "Order in the house creates order in the mind." When your home is clean and organized, your mind becomes clear and focused. Franklin wasn't just a great statesman. He was also a strict practitioner of morning habits. Every day at 5 a.m., before sunrise, he spent 15 minutes wiping his desk, organizing papers, and opening windows to welcome fresh air. He believed this was the key to his great ideas. The lesson from Franklin and the Japanese is simple. Build a balanced life rhythm starting from the smallest habits. Today, I invite you to try this 5-minute ritual. Wake up 5 minutes earlier than usual. Go to each window in your home and open them. Stand still for 30 seconds and take deep breaths. Feel the new air flowing into your home. Thank your home for sheltering you through a peaceful night. When you do this consistently every day, you'll discover something magical. Your home won't just be cleaner. Your soul will also become more peaceful. Because every time you renew your living space, you're also renewing yourself. And this is especially important as we enter the most beautiful phase of life. The phase where we have the right to fully enjoy the peace in our homes. But a truly fresh home isn't created just by individual habits. It's nurtured by family stories, shared memories, and values passed from one generation to the next. And this is where we need to learn from American families who have successfully incorporated Japanese philosophy into their living spaces. Stories not just about clean homes, but about love, connection, and the legacy each family leaves behind. Lesson from successful American families. Have you ever wondered what makes the difference between a house that's merely a place to live and a home that's truly a sanctuary? The answer isn't in the size of your house or the value of the items inside. The answer lies in stories told every day around the dinner table, the shared smiles when cleaning together, and the small habits cultivated over months and years. Let's travel to Minnesota, where the Williams family has lived in a wooden home since the 1950s. Mr. Thomas Williams, 72, shared with me. When our children all grew up, my wife and I realized our spacious home suddenly felt too big and empty. Instead of moving to a smaller place, they decided to learn from their son's Japanese friend. They started by changing their entryway. Instead of leaving shoes scattered at the door, they designed a Japanese-style mudroom with low wooden shelves and wicker baskets of shoes. At first, their children and grandchildren were surprised when visiting, but gradually, they noticed the air in the house became much fresher. Mrs. Mary Williams, Thomas's wife, shared, "The miracle wasn't just in the cleaner air. It was in how everyone began to respect each other's living space. When visiting, the grandchildren automatically took off their shoes and organized their belongings neatly. Our family became more connected through these small habits." And the story of Mrs. Susan in California offers another perspective. At 68 years old, after her husband passed away, she moved in with her son and daughter-in-law. Initially, her relationship with her daughter-in-law was quite tense. Mrs. Susan recounted, "I was used to living in my spacious home, while my daughter-in-law preferred minimalist organization. Every time I cooked, food odors spread throughout the house. Every time we cleaned, we had different methods. Until she read a book about Japanese home philosophy, she decided to apply the principle of respecting shared space. She proposed an agreement to her daughter-in-law. She would learn to control cooking odors by opening windows and using a range hood. In return, her daughter-in-law would give her a small corner in the living room to display her cherished mementos. The two even bought bamboo charcoal pieces together, placing them in decorative ceramic bowls to naturally eliminate odors. After just 3 months, not only was the air in the house fresher, but Mrs. Susan's relationship with her daughter-in-law had also noticeably improved. Her daughter-in-law shared, "At first I thought my mother-in-law was just being difficult. But when I saw her taking time to learn ways to respect our family's living space, I was truly moved. Now we even have tea together every afternoon and chat about home care secrets." And in New York, Mr. James, a retired lawyer, found a solution for his small apartment. He had suffered from severe seasonal allergies for 20 years, needing medication daily. After learning about Japanese ventilation methods, he completely changed his lifestyle habits. Even living in an apartment with limited windows, he created airflow by opening his bedroom door and living room windows simultaneously. He also placed air-purifying plants like aloe vera and ferns in the darker corners. The result? After 6 months of consistent practice, Mr. James reduces allergy medication by 80% each year. He shared, "I'm not just saving on medication costs. I feel energized every morning when I wake up. It's amazing how small changes in our lifestyle can transform our health." Through these stories, I've discovered 3 common success factors. First, respecting each person's personal space. A beautiful home isn't where everything is the same. It's where each family member's personality and habits are respected. Second, building family-wide habits. When the whole family participates in caring for the home, from opening windows each morning to weekend cleaning, we're not just creating a clean space. We're creating shared memories, invisible but lasting connections. Third, harmoniously combining tradition and modernity. We don't need to abandon traditional American values to apply Japanese philosophy. We can learn to combine them intelligently, fitting our lifestyle and culture. The greatest lesson comes from multi-generational American families. In this digital age, when people seem more connected than ever but lonelier than ever, families that rediscover the value of caring for their home together are truly the happiest families. They understand that a home isn't just shelter from rain and wind. It's where we learn to love, share, and respect each other through small daily actions. And when a home truly becomes a sanctuary, fresh air is simply the well-deserved reward for efforts to nurture love. But all this becomes meaningless without a concrete plan to begin. And this is where we need a practical call to action, a small commitment that can completely transform your living space in just the next 7 days. Have you ever wondered what makes a house truly become a home, while others remain just soulless walls? The difference isn't in material things. It lies in 3 simple principles I've shared with you today. First, mindset. When you see your home not just as shelter from rain and sun, but as the sanctuary of your soul, every cleaning act becomes a ritual of spiritual purification. Second, space design. When you learn to work with nature instead of against it, creating natural airflow and controlling humidity by season, your home becomes a living system that breathes to the rhythm of life. Third, daily habits. When you spend 5 minutes each morning opening windows to welcome fresh air, when you clean immediately after cooking, these small habits create a rhythm for your entire home and soul. And today, I don't want you to just stop at watching this video. I want to invite you to join me in the Air Revival Challenge. For the next 7 days, each day take one small action. Day 1. Open all windows in your home for 5 minutes in the morning. Day 2. Move one item blocking airflow in your living room. Day 3. Place a small bag of activated charcoal in your closet. Day 4. Change the position of your kitchen trash can to a more hidden corner. Day 5. Spend 15 minutes organizing one small drawer in your kitchen. Day 6. Place an air purifying plant in your bedroom. Day 7. Teach a family member the habit of opening windows each morning. I've tested this challenge with the Morning Ritual Club in Arizona, and the results were astonishing. Mrs. Patricia, 78, shared, "After 7 days, not only was my home fresher, but my daughter also started calling more often because she enjoyed visiting a clean, energetic home." And now it's your turn. Share with me in the comments which part of this video touched your heart the most. Was it Mr. Robert's story in Boston with his stuffy living room? Or Mrs. Susan's story with her daughter-in-law in California, rediscovering love through small kitchen habits? Or perhaps Benjamin Franklin's philosophy about order in the house creating order in the mind? I truly want to hear your story. And if you found value in this video for your life, please share it with a friend, a loved one, someone who is also searching for peace in their home. In the next video, I'll reveal secrets for creating natural air fresheners from your own kitchen. Methods our grandmothers used before industrial products existed. You'll learn how to transform orange peels, tea leaves, and apple cider vinegar into magic air purifiers, saving money, protecting your health, and bringing natural fragrance to your home. But before I end, I want to share the most profound lesson I've learned from this journey. A home is not just shelter from rain and wind. It's the space that reflects our souls, nurtures family memories, and is a legacy we leave for the next generation. When we care for our home with love and respect, we don't just clean the air, we clean our souls. And this is especially important at our age, after life's ups and downs, after building our achievements. Home becomes where we return, rest, and rediscover ourselves. So today, right now, take 5 minutes to open all the windows in your home. Let the new air flow in. bringing hope, energy, and freshness for new day. Because you deserve a home that's truly a sanctuary, and you deserve a soul that's truly at peace. Thank you for joining me on this journey. I'll see you in the next video.